Let me begin with a simple truth. Logistics is no longer the quiet enabler in the background of military operations. It's not just a support function. It is now a contested, high-stakes battlefield of its own. Our adversaries understand this. They're not just developing new platforms, they're engineering friction into our systems. They're probing digital vulnerabilities, targeting infrastructure, and exploiting our dependence on slow, centralized supply chains. This presentation is about one thing: contesting logistics. Turning sustainment into a force multiplier, not through brute throughput, but through agility, foresight, and disruption. And this isn't theoretical. I've developed a methodology that incorporates strategic frameworking and technical execution in a human-machine teaming partnership that quickly assesses the strategic logistics posture of allies, adversaries, regions, and individual countries to measure their current state and trajectory in establishing, stabilizing, and deterring conditions through logistics and engineering. My analysis validates what we intuitively know. While our threat response capabilities are improving, our baseline readiness remains fragmented. Over the following few slides, I want to show you how. I'll discuss why logistics is the decisive domain of the future fight, and how we must lead before the fight even begins. This is the modern logistics environment. It's not defined by terrain or weather. It's characterized by disruption, cyber threats, electronic warfare, contested sea lanes, fragmented coalitions, and commercial dependencies. Our ability to move and sustain force shall not ever be taken for granted. It has to be earned every day, across every domain. What we face now are threats that are faster, more hybrid, and far less predictable than anything we trained for a decade ago. Our dependencies on satellites, digital routing tools, and access to civilian infrastructure are precisely what make us vulnerable. My methodology, which is just as quantitative as it is qualitative, the Defense Posture Score, generates highly accurate and current analysis and generates action plans to what I hope will reverse this reality. Already, it has highlighted the urgent need to strengthen readiness not only through increased investment, but also through multi-domain integration. This isn't about building more supply. It's about creating systems that can handle unexpected challenges. It's about recognizing that coalition complexity isn't just a policy issue. It's a logistics problem, an operations problem, a commander's problem, and an industry problem. It's all of our problem. If we want persistent readiness for our defense and for our allies, we can't just think about resupply. We must consider resilience at scale, across domains, partners, and time. So, what are the core challenges in contesting logistics? First, timing. In a contested environment, precision isn't optional. Accuracy is everything. You can't wait to act until the threat is clear. By then, it's already succeeded. You have to see the threat, get in front of the threat, act on the threat, be the threat. Second, adaptability. The DPS analysis highlights a concerning trend. We're better at responding to yesterday's threat than preparing for tomorrow's. The concepts of contested logistics. By its nature of its name, it's reactive. We must flip that equation, contesting logistics, and achieve its mastery. Our adversaries adapt faster. They don't think in terms of linear escalation. They think of disruption, delay, deception. They will target your routers before our runways. Your contracts are before our convoys. And then there's infrastructure. Too much of our logistics architecture is built on the assumption of access to roads, ports, secure networks. That access is now a significant strategic variable. My DPS analysis highlights this clearly. We suffer from a lack of standardization in readiness metrics, and fragmented assessment systems creates operational blind spots. We must reduce latency in everything: decisions, routing, maneuver, and repair. Contesting logistics requires what I call cognitive speed. That means enabling logistics leaders to make tactical decisions with strategic consequences and do it faster than the enemy can react. Now, let's discuss the strategy, how we transition from a defensive sustainment model to a proactive campaign of logistics disruption. This is what I call systematic logistics contestation. It's not about moving faster, it's about creating dilemmas for the adversary. We contest logistics the same way we contest terrain, with planning, coordination, and purpose. We make it harder for the enemy to resupply, repair, reinforce, and recover. We target choke points, critical nodes, intermediaries, and digital dependencies, and yes, third-tier suppliers. I recommend enhanced measurement of cross-domain capabilities. That's precisely what my model helps me see. The drive towards the integration of actions across cyber, information, economic, and kinetic spaces, not just as to destroy capability, but to degrade confidence and create operational hesitation. Every layer of pressure matters. That's why we invest in intelligence fusion, predictive analytics, and proportional response options, developing expertise from low-signature deception operations to high-end interdiction. Think of this not as attrition, but as attrition's smarter cousin. NM's sustained degradation guided by data and tuned for tempo. If contesting logistics is the campaign, then matching levers to effects is the art form. We're no longer limited to bombs and blockades. We have a full spectrum of options: diplomatic pressure, economic sanctions, disinformation, psychological operations, and yes, kinetic strikes. But here's the catch: none of it works in isolation. It only works when synchronized. When every action, whether a diplomatic denial of overflight rights or a cyber strike on a fuel depot, contributes to a larger strategic objective. Here's a key insight. The alliance must improve operational flexibility through integrated forward-looking actions across domains. That's precisely what this slide shows. We apply pressure at the seams. We force the adversary to react not just tactically, but politically and economically. When logistics becomes part of the effects chain, we stop being reactive sustainers and become campaign architects. And that's where the war will be won. To lead this transformation, we need a new breed of logistician. Not just a mover of parts, but a strategic integrator, a data-fluent risk manager, and an adaptive decision maker who sees across domains and anticipates disruption before it materializes. Tackle the inconsistency in how performance is measured across the alliance, across any alliance. That inconsistency creates operational friction. It slows down joint and multinational action. It obscures shared readiness. The solution is not just better tools. It brings new skills and refines foundational skills as warfighters. We need people who can translate between domains, understanding not just inventory levels, but their geopolitical significance as experts. The modern logistics professional must be a technologist, a strategist, a reliable partner, and moreover, a cognitive athlete, able to process complexity and take effective action. It's time all recognize that logisticians are not just enablers of operations, but as drivers of victory. That's the role we need them to fill, and the role they must prepare for. So how do we bring this to life? Contesting logistics can't just be a concept, it has to be a campaign. A structured, repeatable, and scalable plan that aligns sustainment with operational intent. This slide shows a 6-phase framework. It starts with intelligence preparation, mapping terrain, networks, and adversary dependencies. Then it escalates through deliberate pressure. We reduce throughput, force repositioning, and overwhelm adversary sustainment with tempo. The NATO DPS analysis highlights the need for performance systems that are predictive rather than merely reflective. I think I have that in action here. Each phase is tied to tempo, risk, and escalation management. Phase 5 is critical. We don't just disrupt, we adapt. Our actions must continuously evolve based on ISR, cyber feedback, and effects assessments. That's where predictive analytics and machine speed logistics command centers come in. And we ensure protection of our networks. This isn't a one-way fight. Our systems must absorb, respond, and recover faster than the adversary can escalate. This model makes contesting logistics a campaign of control, not just support. But even the best offense needs a resilient defense. Our sustainment systems must be built for friction. Not just resistant to disruption, but adaptive in the face of it. My analysis highlights potential blind spots in NATO's risk posture, particularly in cyber resilience and the protection of logistics architecture. This is where counter-disruption becomes our shield. That includes hardened infrastructure, but also digital maneuver, deception layers, and software-defined networks that root around degradation. Protection is more than hardening. It's cognitive resilience, enabling logistics leaders to gain real-time visibility, conduct red team exercises, and detect anomalies that turn uncertainty into clarity. In this phase, sustainment takes on a form of deterrence. When the adversary knows they can't shut you down, they hesitate. That hesitation is time, and time is decision space. We win by protecting that space. Now is the moment to transform. If we want to contest logistics, we must secure the line and transform the mindset. This is a leadership challenge, not a software upgrade. We need a culture that embraces tempo, clarity, and shared accountability across the logistics enterprise. My DPS analysis calls for future-focused metrics, collaborative dashboards, and incentives that align national action with collective readiness. So let's start building them. Let's stop measuring what's easy and start measuring what agilers, adaptability, and disruption tolerance. Let's empower logisticians as leaders not just of movement but of maneuver. Let's invest in tools that give them foresight, partners that provide them reach, and systems that give them speed. This is about shifting the culture from reactive sustainment to offensive positioning, from linear logistics to dynamic dominance. I'll close with this: the next fight won't start with fire. It will begin with a broken network, a congested corridor, or a spoofed sensor that conceals the adversary's initial move. And when that happens, the question won't be, where are our warfighters? It'll be, can we sustain them? How do we get to them? Logistics is not the tail. It's the nervous system. It's what gives commanders options, what gives allies confidence, and what gives adversaries doubt. We don't just need to move supplies. We need to move systems. We need to move faster, think more clearly, and act decisively. Let's contest logistics intelligently, relentlessly, and together. Thank you.